What's up with y'all, man? I know y'all about like where he been. He been missing in action. Well, I had to go within and do some studying. But yeah, hope y'all like my new reading glasses. But yeah, though, man. I ain't felt the sunlight like this, man. I've seen the sun. It's pretty since my mama Shirley was living, man. Mama Shirley on my heart. Love you, Mama Shirley. You why I do this, baby. You know what I'm saying? They might not understand why I'm doing it and how I gotta do it. But with your love in my heart and you being one of my guardians, you know. If only they knew, Mama Shirley, how weak I get sometimes having to play that role. Mama Shirley, I'm kind of glad you didn't have to be on this side to see me play that role, and you was on this side watching it and helping me. Stay strong and remember what kind of heart we got, what kind of love we give, and who we are, and why we do what we do. So I'm gonna dedicate this one to you in my next cycle. I can't say what I'm gonna do that next cycle. I can't say where I'm gonna be that next cycle. I'm just gonna have faith and not walk by sight. You know, that was one of the many scriptures that you taught me. And it stuck with me. And it's carried me all these years. You planted the seed, woman. Thank you for that. I love you for that. I can see your smile now. Like I said, you gonna be the motivation. You're gonna be that torch, you're gonna be that flame. You know? So that means I'm moving on purpose now. What up, y'all? Yeah, man. Everything good. I've been going through some transitions and having to study and things like that. But today it's been on my heart to leave y'all with a message, a temporary message before I go back in and remove myself from the collective in that reality. Man, one thing about it, what I've learned by the end of this cycle is God ain't gonna place you, you know what I'm saying, where you feel like you need to be and where you feel like the type of people you should be around. God ain't gonna place you where you feel like you need to be. God gonna place you where you need to be. And a lot of times God's gonna place us in a place that's gonna bring us an equal amount of pleasure and pain. Now, only way the scale get unbalanced is if you get unbalanced and you lose faith. And then your experience gonna turn to more. It's gonna turn into more pain than it is gonna have more pleasant feeling. So you gotta understand that a lot of times God have us where exactly where we need to be, and we will not get away from that place. We would not be able to go around that trial and error. We would never be able to move forward until we have completed the cycle, until we have done what we needed to do. And what we need to do, there's nothing that we need to do in the physical. You know, a lot of what we got to do with God, our real true work with God is all internal. You know, we grow internally first, you know, so we got to start doing the work within first before we can do anything outside of us, past the little bit that God gonna give us, because we all know and we all worship the same God that will never place more on us than we can bear, right? Well, understand, if you still waking up every day and you still living and you still in the same cycle, but you got just an ounce of strength, it's because you got a little ounce of faith. And at the same time, God ain't putting more on you than you can bear. Now we all agree and we all believe in that, right? Well, understand, God ain't gonna put no more on you than you can bear, wherever you at. Now, if any extra weight added, it's because you adding it on yourself by not 100% believing and trusting. If there's anything that got you pressured for time, or anything that got you pressured, it's because you're pressuring yourself. Because when you totally believe and you trust, ain't no pressure. It might be a little anxiety, might come a little fear. We gonna always face that, and we gonna use it to our advantage. You know, we ain't gonna let that cortisol rise too high. We gonna nip it in the butt. We gonna turn it into dopamine. We gonna turn it into serotonin. We gonna turn it into endorphins. We gonna make all type of other neurotransmitters fire off, and all type of other things start circulating in our brain, so we can play our game and do our thing. You know what I'm talking about? Everything good, but you gotta realize it's gonna be some bad too. You gotta realize that if you don't see all of it as gold, then you'll be digging around a lot of gold, thinking it's dirt, thinking it's dust. See, a lot of times we be looking for nuggets, when we should just be looking for the smallest things. That nugget cool to have. You know, the bigger the nugget, the bigger our ego grow. Sometimes, man, what you think is dust, it outweigh that whole little piece of nugget. It's a whole bunch of it. You got enough to have a boulder of it. If you just stop seeing everything as this and just looking for one particular thing to bring you pleasure. When you really getting what you need, and you really doing it with an intent and with a purpose, you ain't pressured for time, you ain't worried, and you ain't stressing to the point to where you can't function and your thoughts get distorted. Because we're gonna always have a little stress. That's a part of making us go hard. You know what I'm saying? From the heart, nigga. From the gut. So it's all good. Just know that sometimes, man, you ain't gonna be moved from underneath that rock in that dark place until you actually want to see some light. A lot of times light be on our tongue, but we ain't doing no action. See, we think we waiting for somebody to come move the rock off of us when we got to dig. We gonna have to go a little deeper, and then we're gonna have to come out on the other side where there's light. And when we go down in them dark tunnels, we gotta have faith. We gotta have faith. We gotta have trust. And we gotta believe. And we're gonna have to have some hope. Because we're gonna have to be able to dream or see something other than what we're looking at. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna have to have something from the unconscious so that we can have something to keep us going. You know what I'm saying? Until we reach that other side to where we can see some light. So a lot of times, man, we gotta realize we in darkness because we gotta deal with something. We gotta deal with what we help create with our own mind and what we continue to hold within with our own mind. What we choose to keep attached to us because we fail to change our narrative. As well change our beliefs on how we view things. You know, change up some values. So a lot of people think that values ain't supposed to change. Well, if you're maturing and you're growing, certain values gonna change. What you value gonna change. But now what your core is, that's gonna remain the same. That's who you are to the core, all the way down to the root, to the seed, and the life that's within the seed. You can't control what's within that seed, that life. God controls that. So we can only modify what we want externally. You know what I'm saying? We can do that in the physical, but in the intangible, we can't do that. We don't have that power. We got to live according to what God say. We got to do what God say do. You know, like I said, a lot of times we ain't placed where we want to be placed, or where we feel like we should be placed when God moves us. But it's a reason why we're there. And if you just take the time and be patient and go through the motions, go through the trial and error, and take your time to fully reevaluate, and you do your evaluation and do your analysis and do all that, you know, you do all that, you know what I'm saying? Then God will move you to the next point, to the next place, to where you can show a little bit more. See, God like to reveal in pieces. God can't just place you somewhere. You know what I'm saying? Well, God can, but God don't really want to just place you somewhere where you just show everybody everything all at one time. No, man. Your role. You know what I'm saying? Your character. You know, your characters. You know, nah, man, you got to grow. And he got to grow on everybody else. I know. I'm speaking from experience. I reached a place, you know, and got there. And, man, I just knew I was going to get to show everything. And we're trying to force it. And God said, no, it ain't time for you to show everything. What you want to show everything for. So I quit forcing it. I started laying back. Once I seen that God was cutting me off from reaching that flow, I said, it's a reason why. So I just started praying for gratitude and playing my role of kind of studying. And I'm thankful that I did that too. Because at that time, everybody that was there was trying to show everything that they got. They bought their best. I bought the less. But everybody could see that I had more, but I bought the lesser because God said you here for a lesson. We ain't gonna show everything, and then too, where your mind is then. See, God know our mindset. God know how we truly think. God know what's in the shadows. God know what's in the light. God know you as a whole, and God know where your cycle is. For God let you move forward. For life let you move forward. Life gonna keep you right at the level you need to be. Because life knows, God knows. God don't want you to destroy yourself. God don't want you to deplete yourself early. How you gonna have some more energy to go when it's time to play your next role? You done left everything right there in one place, trying to prove to the world. And the world gonna change, and what you did that day ain't gonna mean nothing that next new day. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be remembered. It might be respected. But it ain't gonna be up to date. It's gonna be obsolete. You know what I'm saying? It ain't gonna be nothing that's gonna continue to grow as the generations grow. You know what I'm saying? So we gotta be mindful, man. We gotta be patient. We gotta take our time. You know? Every man that cheated his way, and every man that forced his way, and made all up kind of rules and all this old stuff so they can be glorified early, they did it for a reason, because they knew they was on the time, and they knew they was gonna die early in life. You know what I'm saying? Because they choose to die early, but they knew they didn't have long to live no way. So they did what they did to be glorified for that once, only to be hated in the end by the same people that they did all that to. You know what I'm saying? Did all that for. Same people they did all that for, and trying to be accepted by and loved and respected by, they get hated by them same people and spit on and kicked on in the end, because that's really how they felt about them people. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, man, we be idolizing and worshiping all these people outside of us, these things outside of us, and they only are temporary. They're not permanent like God. You know what I'm saying? They don't last forever. You know? You got a time limit. That's why everything with them is about time. And they always trying to rush it. They always trying to force it. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I let it be known I ain't pressing for time, my nigga, because I know it take time. You know, time don't really exist with God. That's why we walk with faith, because we never know when. This very next 2 minutes, this very next 1 millisecond, this very next 10 seconds, my entire life can change. You know, right before my eyes. That's how God moves. You know? That's just what it is. We gotta accept that. We can set goals. We can do all that. That's cool. If we need to do that so we can stay motivated and stay pushing, do that. But I'm gonna tell you something. It don't always work out like that. And then sometimes when we get there, it don't always be the way we want it to be, because we fail and neglect to do the work that we need to do in order to have joy when we get there. Yeah, man. I'm talking that shit. I made it to a place, and I had bliss. It was blissful. You know what I'm saying? It was very blissful. Because it was all an illusion. What I had to go through to see that it was an illusion before I realized that I really wasn't experiencing joy. I was just high. You know what I'm saying? I realized, man, how much pain I really had and how much pain I was trying to carry on with me into this next cycle that required me to be light. I didn't realize how much darkness I had carrying with me inside. You know? I didn't know how far away I had got away from my shadow. I didn't know I really didn't love myself like I thought I loved myself. It took me to get that place and for the illusion to fall, to show me that I was in hell. You know what I'm saying? I was in the state of hell every day of my life because I was born into hell. And I didn't realize that I was in hell. And it took for me to go through that hell right then, at that moment in time and space on earth, to realize that I was really in the state of hell. And I had been lying and deceiving myself. And I tell you what, when I started to go through and I stopped resisting and I stopped experimenting, and yeah, God showed me what heaven was. God allowed me to enter into the gates of heaven. God allowed me to experience the state of heaven on earth. God allowed me to feel that and be in that. And boy, I tell you, it's a good feeling. It's a good old feeling. And everybody can see it on you. Everybody can feel it. Everybody want it. They want to be in it. Man, I even had dark entities that followed me from hell, man, and didn't want to get off me when I reached that state. They had fell in love with me because I had that feeling, and they knew God was real, and they turned their life over to God. They switched sides because they seen that God was real. They seen that God was real. They knew God wasn't just a name being mentioned in a story. And I praise God that they got to see it through me. I praise God that I got to experience it. During that time, until I learned how to manage, people thought I was crazy. You got to think about it now. Everybody around you in a state of hell. So they can only see the hell. They can only see the fire and the brimstone. They can only see death. They can only smell death. They can only smell defeat and despair. That's all they know. They know how to mask it and play. You know what I'm saying? So when they see you doing it, and they see that it's real, and that energy is pure, see, everything can lie. Everything, because see, they great actors. But that energy, that God energy, they can feel it. And they know you the truth. And they hate it. Because it ain't them. And they get to playing, trying to take control of the energy. Trying to control the mind. Trying to do all type of shit. Because they don't want to see this body. They don't want to see this body. They don't want to see this individual. They don't want to see, because it's that they still looking at everything at the lowest level, because like I said, they in hell. They can only see no further than hell. They can't see nothing past that, because they don't believe, because they feel like I do everything right. That's what you're doing, and that's what you're doing wrong. You're doing everything right that somebody else told you was right. You do a lot of wrong and your heart tell you it's wrong, but you think it's right. Because you're controlled by your mind. So, they scandalize your name. They throw dirt on you. If anybody in the community want to believe in you, brag to them, they say the opposite. Something wrong with him. You know he crazy. You know that boy on them drugs. You know what I'm saying? Folks believe that. You know that boy worship the devil. You know that boy into witchcraft. Folks believe that. And they start looking at you different. You know what I'm saying? Even away from home. When you're in other places. And other people can see it. Same thing happen. It's because it's envious and it's jealousy. Because it's not them. You know what I'm saying? And then they can't emulate it and imitate it. You know what I'm saying? They going everywhere. Everybody knows it's a mask. One thing about an actor, he knows another actor. But one thing about an actor, when he in the presence of the real thing, he can't do nothing but try to learn and pick up and soak up and become something. Try to anyway. Might pick up on a little bit of the energy if you give it to him. But they gonna be like, nah, you do a good role though. And the little energy everybody picking up on is just emotion. Because you know what I'm saying, they making them feel it because they showing passion, showing, you know, playing that role, you know what I'm saying? But everybody know it ain't real. You know what I'm saying? Everybody know you just doing that right now. Everybody gonna be applauding and standing up, man, when you done put on a hell of a show. And the curtain's about to close. I'll be clapping my hand for y'all too. But the thing about it is, you know, it's a lot that come with that. And I started realizing, man, I knew a lot of brothers and sisters, man, that was experiencing that energy way before me. And I went through, I'm blessed though. One thing I can't say, I'm blessed. I went through a half of a fraction of the crucifixion they went through. The pain they experienced going through their crucifixion, I experienced a fraction of that. Because I didn't resist. And I accepted. See, it was only rough on them because they had a hard time. They had a hard time accepting it, and they had a hard time embracing it. and they had a hard time. You know, just had a hard time, and I respect them still. But just know, man, if you continue to go through, man, and if you use that time while you're in that dark space, man, to heal, and when you come out to the light, man, you light for real, man, your experience to be pleasant, your experience to be fun, your experience to be everything, you know? And you really can be whatever you want to be and create whatever you want to create. And you're going to be able to be dedicated to it. You won't have a problem committing to nothing, you know? You just got to commit to God. During my experimentation, this cycle, I was sent to so many different places to see how they think and to see what they value and what they believe, only so that I can respect them and I can communicate with them. Because I represent oneness to Christ. And the way I see it, we are one. We just got a different way how we look at things. You know, we got a different way of how we live. And I'm not against no way that people choose to live. That's their life. They have a choice. I have a choice. I don't plan on changing nobody's mind. I can only speak mine and listen to them when they speak theirs and respect it. So I respect it, but I had to go in and learn. And one thing about learning and being fascinated with something, you begin to become. And I began to become what I was fascinated by until I realized that fascination was kind of getting me away from God. And God had to place me back in a dark place, so that I could get unfascinated. You know what I'm saying? And then do what I need to do so I can understand it and why God had me there. But see, God wasn't punishing me because God knows that you have to be placed in a situation, especially when you're praying to God and telling God you're ready. You have to go through trial and error before God puts you where you desire. You got to go through some trial and error. So that was my trial and error. And I had did the trial, but I didn't go over the errors. So I started noticing the errors. I started seeing where I was wrong, and I started seeing where, I was right. And when I say wrong, I mean it's in wrong direction. You know what I'm saying? And I seen where I was headed in the right direction with it. So I started creating, and doing what I need to do to continue on in the right direction. Sometimes you got to stop and realize that you're navigating in the wrong direction. And, I had got back facing towards the right direction, and I had to start stepping. So I started back stepping in the right direction. And I thank God. I thank God for that cycle. I learned so much, not just about people, but about myself. And that's why I thank God for the maturity. It was never people, it was always me. God gave me an ear, an eye, 2 other eyes, and a mouth. And he gave me a brain as well as a mind that has multiple minds attached. You know what I'm saying? So, a complex mind. And I chose to ignore, and go against. And I paid for it. I paid for it. I asked for it. I deserved it. That's what I wanted. Because I wanted to learn. That's why I'm here. So I had to get out of that mindset. I had to realize, dog, shit, nigga, I I ain't the victim. I ain't the victim, homie. You know what I'm saying? Hell, they ain't the victim either. But at the same time, they probably feel like they the victim because whatever happened to them now. And it's like, man, nah, you ain't the victim either because me and you both made a decision then. You chose to get out, I chose to allow you. Hey, man, we both got to get them consequences, dog. One thing we can't do is escape consequences, dog. So, you know. But yeah, man, it's all good. But just understand, man, that we're all one. And we all gonna do better. And sometimes, man, it's gonna seem like it's gonna get worse before it gets better. But that's just what it seems like, man, until you choose to change the narrative. The only way you can do that is by changing the way that you think, and the way that you see, and the way that you feel. You know? All realities exist. You choose and live in the one that you want to live in. You know? It's a choice. Use your free will to your advantage and live it the way that you want to live it. And just be mindful of consequences. You know? Be mindful of the consequences, man, and the pros that come with it. So, that's all I want to say, man. Y'all hold it down. Peace reflections. Church.